Residents of Newman were placed under a shelter-in-place warning while police continued their investigation. Earlier today, I spoke with members of the Pike County community and members of Troy University. They gave me their thoughts amid this highly contested election. Polls in Alabama will be closing in less than 2 hours at 7 p.m. Remember, if you still plan on voting, you will need a valid form of photo identification. Some may not realize that Constitution Day is actually a federal holiday. It's described as a time to honor the rights and freedoms that are protected by our written Constitution. Newman residents witnessed what some are calling a scary sequence of events this past Saturday. Residents were met with the shelter-in-place lockdown along with police officers with their weapons drawn.
We received a 911 call of a report of a man with a gun in the area of Newman 100 building. We initiated a lockdown. Officers responded to the scene, and by 11:13, a campus-wide lockdown had been initiated, and officers arrived to investigate the situation. During the course of their investigation, they were unable to locate an armed subject. Residents of Newman were placed under a shelter-in-place warning while police continued their investigation.
Yeah, I just made sure the doors were locked, laid in bed. My roommate wasn't there, but she texted me to make sure everything was good.
This is what Newman RA Olivia Jones told her residents to do during the shelter-in-place lockdown.
I told them to listen to what the shelter-in-place said. So if it was shelter-in-place, I told them to stay where they were. And then when it was lifted around campus, but we still had to stay in Newman 100 and 200, I told them to stay away.
Both lockdowns were lifted, and authorities deemed the situation to be a false alarm. In 2020, former President Donald Trump won the state of Alabama with 62% of the vote. Some Alabamians hope to see history repeat itself.
Because he's running on a stronger economy, on border control, on a stronger position as a world power. I think that if the people of the United States would rally around those principles instead of who's saying them, then I think that would be really unifying.
In this election, many college students are first-time voters. Troy student Alyssa Wall says her vote will be based on future economic stability.
Honestly, one of the things that most concerns me is just like taxes, just because that's probably selfishly what's going to affect me. More attention to the people who are in need, lower social class, and just people who are struggling day by day to just make it through.
Creech says he plans to vote for Trump based on his policies, not his personality.
I think that we're really divided, and I'd like to see us come together in unity. I feel like Trump, he's a really divisive character, but I think that his policies are really unifying.
Staying up to date about the election is trickier than ever. With so many news outlets to get information from, many young people are turning to social media.
Honestly, I just watch TikTok. It's always on the little For You page, and just like my family, they always talking about it.
Basically like Facebook, social media they always talking about it.
Although students turn to social media for their information about the election, the Office of Civic Engagement encourages students to follow unbiased sources.
I would recommend that students go get their information from a variety of sources, from both sides of the aisle, from more centrist sources, just so that they can really get all sides and form their own opinion.
Voting is a constitutional right that all students are encouraged to take advantage of. The Office of Civic Engagement hopes all students will cast a vote in November.
It's important for students to vote because their voice is so valuable. If we don't hear that voice, then there's a great section of our population that's not represented.
Experts say staying informed and exercising your right to vote are important parts of participating in any election. Homecoming week started off with a bang. Each group in the competition was tasked with choreographing and performing an original dance.
This event is just a great way for everyone in the community to come and have a good time, especially since it's homecoming week, and it's also good competition.
Throughout the night, interfraternal and Panhellenic organizations danced to a range of songs and artists, from Britney Spears and Ariana Grande to Nelly and Usher. Dancers gave it their all as members of the audience cheered on their favorite group.
I think my favorite part about watching the event was getting to see how hard everyone had worked. I know that our girls worked really hard, and they absolutely did amazing.
For freshman Jack Papke, Monday's dance battle marked one of his first chances to represent his fraternity, Alpha Tau Omega.
Preparation was definitely stressful, to say the least, but it was worth it in the end because I felt like we performed pretty well. Biggest thing was that we had fun.
The winner of the competition will be announced Saturday morning during the homecoming parade in Troy's downtown square.